Shavua Tov, everyone. Welcome to TillesTells stories for Saturday night. Wait till you hear the title of this week's story. The Top Hat and Earring of an Old-Fashioned Russian Chasid. I adopted the story from an article by David Lakakovsky on COL Live and from a 1980 diary entry by Mr. Zalman Jaffe of Manchester, which is published on Chabad.org. Part 1, The Top Hat. In England, Rabbi Menachem Tzvi Rifkin, known as the Ramatz, the initials of the letters of his name, represented Chabad and raised funds for the impoverished schools in Europe that were forced underground due to Soviet oppression. He was a respected rabbinic figure and served on the local rabbinic court in Manchester. In 1924, Rabbi Rifkin accepted a rabbinic position at the Chabad synagogue in Manchester at the recommendation of the sixth Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson, the Rebbe Rayatz. You should inspire the community to come to daily prayer services and to make time for the study of Hasidic philosophy, the Rayatz wrote to him. Your spirit should not deflate when you see the vast amount of work in strengthening the spirituality of the Jews in the city, the Rayatz added. For as the founder of Hasidism, Rabbi Yisrael Baal Shem Tov states, the natural way of the world is that first there is pain and then success. As an immigrant from Russia, Rabbi Rifkin looked and felt like a foreigner in the British city of Manchester, wearing a Russian kasket beaked cap on his head and sporting a long black beard. The scholarly rabbi was an anomaly to the typical Englishman. The synagogue, named Kal Chasidim Nusach Ari, had been established in 1897. When his congregation requested that he exchange his Russian hat for the more contemporary top hat worn by most rabbis, the perplexed Rabbi Rifkin wrote to his Rebbe. The Rebbe Rayat responded that he should follow the custom of the community. He fulfilled the Rebbe's request, and a top hat remained on his head always. During World War II, the Germans bombed England as part of a blitzkrieg, lightning war, a military tactic of mobile forces and locally concentrated firepower. Rabbi Rifkin's home was one of the buildings that were hit. Much of the house collapsed while Rabbi Rifkin was sitting in his study. Shrapnel came flying toward him, and the door crashed upon him. His only protection was the top hat, which likely saved him from a fatal injury. Wild, but this one, then part 2 was wilder. The earring. Prior to his birth in 1869, the mother of Rabbi Menachem Tzvi Rifkin had given birth to 2 boys, both of whom had died at a very young age, unfortunately, Rahman Salam. When she was pregnant with him, she was sorely afraid that the same thing would happen again. She sent her husband to the 4th Chabad rabbi, the Rebbe then, Rabbi Shmuel Schneerson, the Rebbe Maharash, for help and guidance, for she was extremely worried. She had already lost 2 sons. The Rebbe gave him an atara. Atara means a crown, referring to the silver, the silver embossment that many put on the collar of their talit. In Chabad, we don't have that so much, but you find it very much among all the other Hasidim. Lots of silver on the collar of the talit. And he gave him that part of a talit and instructed his wife should have an earring made from it, from the silver in it, that from the day of birth, the baby should wear it and never remove it. This would be a segula, a precious thing for a long and healthy life. Amazing. The instructions were followed, and Rabbi Rifkin wore this earring for many decades and enjoyed good health. Just once, in the course of his sojourn in this world, did he remove the earring, and he became so ill that he replaced it immediately. One year, 1948, on the eve of Yom Kippur, 5709, Mr. Zalman Jaffe of Manchester and Motel Jaffe, not a relation, went to visit Rabbi Rifkin in order to extend their wishes for a good year to him. After they left, Rabbi Rifkin made his way to immerse in the mikveh, the purification pool. As he was about to exit the building, he suddenly noticed that the earring was not in his ear. He was profoundly disturbed and upset. The earring he had worn all his life at the instruction of the Rebbe. All those present helped him search. They emphasized so much that they drained the mikveh of all its water on Erev Yom Kippur in a final but vain attempt to find it. Having no alternative, Rabbi Rifkin continued to the synagogue for Yom Kippur services. He was halfway up the steps when he collapsed and died. He was nearly 80 years of age. The earring was never seen again. Let me add that in today's Torah reading of Yishlach that was read today publicly in synagogues, Jewish men wearing earrings are mentioned. Not positively, but it's mentioned. See Genesis 35, chapter 35, verse 4. Also, whoever would like a picture of the Ramatz, Rabbi Menachem Tzvi Rifkin, with wearing top hair and his earring, can send me a request by email at TillesTells@gmail.com, TillesTells@gmail.com, or WhatsApp me at +972 526 770 137. 137, by the way, to note, I didn't choose the number, but it's Gematria Kabbalah.